Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Jeremiah, the 18th chapter, the potter and the clay. And in this chapter, right, once again, we see the Lord speaking to Jeremiah, right, and basically putting out in the open that once again the stiff-necked ways of Israel, right, and in fact they blatantly tell the Lord, yeah, we're not going to stop our wickedness, so don't even bother. Right. At which Jeremiah also complains to the Lord to bring that judgment right upon them, because at this point, similar to how it is when you first come into the truth, you know, the judgments seem harsh and damn, so this person's not gonna make it, and this person too. But as you grow in the truth and you start to see the actual, because remember, you're coming from the world, right? So you start to actually see the clash, the division, and you see the ill nature, okay, of our people, because now your eyes are open. You start to understand why the Lord is going to bring these judgments against them. And Jeremiah went through that, right? So this is Jeremiah 18:1, the word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord Yahweh, saying, arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause thee to hear my words. So the Lord sent Jeremiah to a potter's shop. And, you know, potters are people who make, use clay, right, to make, you know, things, vases, you know, cups, you know, they make things. And so the potter's house, right, could quite literally be their house. Some potters would like open up some part of their house as the area where like their shop, and or in general it could just mean like, you know, the house of the potter, like where the potter does his work. So anyway, Jeremiah goes there, right? Verse 3. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheels. So when Jeremiah went there, he saw the potter working. Right? When you wrought, it means you're working or you're bringing about work on the wheels, i.e., the potter's wheel, which is basically that thing that you see. It's controlled by a pedal, something like that. And as they step, it spins, and as it spins, they can use their hands or some device to sculpt the shape of the object that they're making. So, verse 4, and the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So as Jeremiah is there, he's watching the potter work, and as the potter is making a certain vessel, it ends up getting messed up, right? Either, you know, like if you see how they're doing this, you know, your hand could accidentally like poke it the wrong way. It could mold the wrong way. You know, it doesn't turn out the right way, right? So it got messed up, and what the potter did was he just discarded it, right, and made another one, right? So he made it again, another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. All right. Let's look at this. Oh, NLT, it says, but the jar he was making did not turn out as he hoped, so he crushed it into a lump of clay again and started over. NIV, but the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands, so the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as it seemed best to him. So he basically reworked it. I should have said that. And this is what the Lord wanted to show Jeremiah as a symbolism, okay? Then the word of the Lord Yahweh came to me, saying, O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this potter? So don't I have the power to, you see how the potter had the power to you know, take whatever he was making, crush it up, or rework it, or basically mold it into whatever shape or form he wanted. The Lord is saying, I have the power to do that to you. Saith the Lord, behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel. So I have the power over you to turn you into whatever I want. At what instant I shall speak concerning a nation and concerning a kingdom, to pluck it up or to pull down and to destroy it. if that nation against whom I have pronounced turn from their evil. So if at any point the Lord concerning a particular nation decides, right, that he's going to destroy it, if that nation who the Lord has pronounced judgment against turn from their evil, I will repent of that evil that I thought to do unto them. And we saw and we've seen the Lord do this a couple of times, but like even one example to a degree was Nineveh, when Jonah went and prophesied against them and they repented, and the Lord didn't bring the destruction right then and then, though he ended up bringing it at a later date. And at what instant I shall speak concerning a nation and concerning a kingdom to build and to plant it. So now in the in the opposite, if the Lord speaks good things concerning a nation to bless it, if it do evil in my sight, that it obey not my voice, then I will repent of the good wherewith I said I would benefit them. So just like we read up above, the Lord is like, if I speak good concerning this nation and they turn and start doing evil, then I'm going to repent of that good. And I'm not going to benefit them like I said I was. Now, therefore, go to speak to the men of Judah. So now he tells Jeremiah, okay, now go and speak to Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, thus saith the Lord, this is what I say. Behold, I frame evil against you. So I've planned evil against you and devise a device against you, right? These are the plans the Lord has against you, and they're not good, they're evil. So return ye now every one from his evil way, and make your ways and your doings good. You see? So I've pronounced evil against you, but like the Lord just said up above, if you repent, if you change your ways, then he'll repent of that evil. So he's saying, hey, I have evil intentions against you, but I'm giving you one more chance. Turn from those evil ways and make your ways good, so that I don't have to bring this judgment upon you. And you know what wicked ass Israelites said? Verse 12. And they said, there is no hope, but we will walk after our own devices, and we will every one do the imagination of his heart. So they basically said blatantly, and I'll read this in the NLT so it's clearer. It says here, but the people replied, don't waste your breath. We will continue to live as we want to, stubbornly following our own desires. So, I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that, right? Like this is what their blatant answer was when the Lord told them, yo, I have planned evil against you, right? Repent from it. But this was their response. All right. It says here, verse 13, therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, ask ye now among the heathen, who hath heard such things? So go and ask these nations and see, like, who, like, it's mesmerizing, right? What nation has heard such a thing? What nation has done such a thing? What nation is so sottish as these people? But the Virgin of Israel hath done a very horrible thing. The Virgin of Israel is representing the nation of Israel, but being personified as like a virgin woman. Will a man leave the snow of Lebanon, which cometh from the rock of the field? And so what the Lord is saying here is, by Israel's response and them forsaking me being life, it's like an unheard of thing. Like people won't do that. That's not something normal people do. So when he says, yeah, will the man leave the snow of Lebanon, which cometh from the rock of the field? Now, the snow of Lebanon is actual snow on the top of the mountains in Lebanon. I ended up looking it up. And it says here, the snow that accumulates on Lebanon's high mountains is the country's most significant source of fresh water, especially during the dry spring and summer months. The slow melting of the snowpack recharges aquifers, feeds springs and rivers, and provides cool, clean water essential for the population and agriculture. And when you actually look into the word Lebanon, it goes into white or whiteness, which is interesting because, I mean, the snow on the top of the mountains, kind of almost alludes to that, right? So you see whiteness here. Laban, right, Laban, that was the name of Jacob's uncle. Laban Wan, or Laban Nawan, So there you go with Lebanon. So when the Lord is saying here is, will anybody intentionally leave the snow of the snow of Lebanon, which cometh from the rock of the field? Meaning, this is, like we read here, essential, right, for the population, for fresh water. It's a reliable source of water, right? So would anybody just up and leave it? Or shall the cold flowing waters that come from another place, the other place is referring to the top of those mountains of Lebanon, be forsaken? So if you're living in this area and you have given a situation or a scenario where, water is not let's say, like, it's not just easily accessible, just like that, you don't have it in abundance, but you're in an area where naturally, due to the snow, you can have water without it even raining, right? Are you just going to up and leave that? And the Lord is creating this, he's making this analogy to say that just like people depend on the snow on the top of Lebanon and they wouldn't leave it because it's essential for them, the Lord is likened onto that source, right, of life. So people wouldn't even leave this source of water, let alone you leaving your God, which is your source of life, right? Verse 15, because my people hath forgotten me, they have burned incense to vanity. The vanity here is referring to their idols. And they have caused them to stumble in their ways from the ancient paths. So the ancient paths was the paths that the Lord ordained for us to walk in, the right ways. And it's ancient because it goes back to the past where the Lord first gave us the ordinances and said, this is how you're going to live. This is what you should do. This is the ways to walk in. So by worshiping idols, they have stumbled out of that way. And now they've started to go in a perverse way, right? To walk in paths in a way not cast up, meaning in a way that's not prepared. It's not a walking path. All right. And that's in a realistic sense is a way of life that they're living that wasn't one that the Lord ordained for Israel. To make their land desolate, because as a result of doing this, the end product would be that their land would be destroyed. Or let me actually rephrase that. Their land would be destructured to a point, right? Because the walls were destroyed. The land was pretty much messed up because of the buildings and stuff like that. But it was more so desolate because the people were taken out of the land. And a perpetual hissing, right? Where the nations would look down and mock and look at Israel as a reproach for them suffering this judgment. Every one that passeth by shall be astonished and wag his head. Like, damn, wasn't this at one point, isn't this the great old Jerusalem and so on and so forth? What happened to them? Because we always stood out in the midst of the nations, right? I will scatter them as with an east wind before the enemy. I will shew them the back and not the face in the day of their calamity. Meaning the Lord would turn his back on us, right, rather than his face to be attentive to us in the day of that calamity, because Israel warranted this to themselves. And the scattering them with an east wind was, once again, when the enemy would come through, taking some captive, some fleeing, destroying some. Verse 18, then said they, come and let us devise devices against Jeremiah. So let us come up with plans, schemes against Jeremiah, because he was prophesying this to them. And, some of them were getting cut. So they wanted to kill Jeremiah. For the law shall not perish from the priest, nor counsel from the wise, nor the word from the prophet. So they were in denial, basically reaffirming their falsehoods, right? Their false ways. They're saying, no, get this guy out of here. We gonna be good. The priest ain't going nowhere. The council ain't leaving the wise. The prophets ain't none of that happening. Come and let us smite him with the tongue, and let us not give heed to any of his words. So let's mock him, like let's scorn him, let's reproach him, let's spread rumors about him, and just completely ignore what he has to say. And give heed to me, O Yahweh. So now this is Jeremiah speaking, right, with his complaint to the Lord. And hearken to the voice of them that contend with me. So listen to what it is that these people are saying against me. Shall evil be recompensed for good? Because I'm speaking unto them your words as a good thing so that they can hear it and repent. But they're trying to recompense evil for the labor of love that I'm doing. For they have digged a pit for my soul, right? They've digged a pit to try and kill me. Remember that I stood before thee to speak good for them and to turn away thy wrath from them. See, so and that's what he's saying, right? Like, not only am I prophesying to them, but Lord, I pleaded on their behalf to you, right? And this is the result that I get. So therefore, deliver up their children to the famine and pour out their blood by the force of the sword. So now Jeremiah's like, nah, Lord, I'm with this judgment all the way. You know, kill their children in the famine, let them starve. When the enemy comes in, when it says pour out their blood by the force of the sword, if somebody, you know, say a Babylonian soldier stabs you, right, or cuts off your arm, that's using the force of the sword. And once that limb is cut off or your body is pierced through the force of the sword, your blood is going to pour out, to give a visual. And let their wives be bereaved of their children, meaning to lose their children. So their children, once again, would die in the famines or actually just be slain. And be widows, so their husbands would also die. And let their men be put to death. Let their young men be slain by the sword in battle. So let it be a complete bloodbath against these people, because they're not going to get it. And now they want to kill me. Let a cry be heard from their houses when thou shalt bring a troop suddenly upon them. Because remember, once again, they kept reaffirming themselves, right? Telling them, oh, no, the Babylonians are not going to do anything to us. You know, ignore Jeremiah. So a lot of them were saying peace, peace when there was none, until boom, them troops were at your doorstep, you know, ready for war. And Jeremiah is saying, here, bring that distress upon them, you know, and don't give them an escape. For they have digged a pit to take me and hid snares for my feet. They've set traps for me. Yet, Lord Yahweh, thou knowest all their counsel against me to slay me. So you know, there's things that Jeremiah was privy to, but as he was telling the Lord, like, you know all the things that they have in their minds and how, evil they are and the intentions that they have against me. So forgive not their iniquity, neither blot out their sin from thy sight. So don't overlook it. Don't have mercy on them, but let them be overthrown before thee. Deal thus with them in the time of thine anger. So now Jeremiah was praying for judgment against them. Okay, forget the mercy, forget all that. Just bring that judgment against them, because these people just ain't gonna get it. And that brings us to the end of Jeremiah, the 18th chapter. Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh. And until next time, Shalom.